Hi, guys. Okay, so there's been a lot of commentary, asinine commentary, in reference to the Nikolai Mu, Mu, Mu stabbing on the Apple River in Wisconsin. A lot of smart ass comments, a lot of ignorance. And so we're going to talk about the facts today, not what stupid idiots say online. And they got a little bit of facts from the case. And so they run across the football field with that little bit that they know. And they think they know the entire story and they don't know what they're talking about. Okay. So let's get to the facts. So this is in Somerset, Wisconsin. Okay. Nikolai Mew is charged in the fatal stabbing on the Apple River in July 2022. And here's a timeline of what happened. Okay. Mew is 54 and he's facing charges of first degree intentional homicide for the death of 17-year-old Isaac Schuman and multiple counts of attempted first degree intentional homicide for his alleged role in the stabbings on July 30th, 2022. His trial begins on April 1st, 2024. So, July 30th, 2022, 9:30 a.m., Nikolai Mew and his wife leave their home in Prior Lake, Minnesota. They plan to meet friends and spend the day floating the Apple River, a popular destination for tubers in Wisconsin's St. Croix County. Okay. And they arrive at the River's Edge campground. Mew's group starts their float. I'm going to try to figure out why this isn't. Oh, that might be better. Okay, hold on. Mew's group starts their float. Sandra Mew later tells police the only person that left the group during the float was her husband Nikolai, who left to find a phone that someone in their party had lost. Using scuba gear, Mew starts searching the river near a bridge. Okay, and this is at 11:30 a.m. 3:44 p.m. A video recording shows Mew carrying goggles with a snorkel attached as he approached a group of tubers. Mew is told, "Get away." The group accuses Mew of looking for little girls. He actually said he was looking for little girls, so this is a little bit dicey too. There were a bunch of youngins there, I guess between the ages of 17 and 19, 20, something. I don't know. They're all young. And they said, "What are you doing?" And he said he was looking for little girls. So that already set the tone for the youngsters. I'm going to call them youngsters for them to be like, "What? You raper? You this, that?" So pedophile, they, called him a predator and everything else. So the group didn't accuse him of that. I don't know why this says that. He said he was looking for little girls. Anyway. The situation escalates when a larger group approaches. The video shows multiple people yelling at Mew and at least one person touching his shoulder. From the video, it does appear to show people on three sides of Nikolai at different distances. The video and elapsed time shows opportunity for Nikolai to leave the confrontation. So at 3:47 p.m., the first 911 calls come in. Okay, so there's a lot missing from this article. So let me clear the air on what actually happened. When the group of, I guess they were various ages, okay, from teenage to like 18, 19. I'm surmising because I don't know everybody's exact age, but they were minding their business initially. Okay, people online accused them of being hooligans and they weren't supervised and they, da 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 da. What do you expect when you get a bunch of teenagers together? Da da da. Let's clear the air on what commentary is missing out on. They were tubing and minding their own business, okay? And Nikolai came over and literally put his hands on their tube to stop them from tubing, which he had no business doing. So he, in essence, started this, and then it just got worse from here. They were like, "What are you doing?" And this and that. And then there's a Asian guy. I can't remember his name. His last name is, I can't remember. Alec? I don't know. But he's an Asian guy. He was on the stand and I saw different witnesses' testimony. He said, I said, "What are you doing? Because the water is short, meaning it's not that deep. So why are you snorkeling?" And he said he was looking for little girls. And that set off the whole group to say, "What do you mean, you little girls? You raper, you predator." And it just set a negative tone by him saying that smart aleck comment. These are all according to the witnesses who were actually there, not the media who tells you what they want to report, what actually happened because they were physically there. This is how it went down. And then, so they already set the tone. And then there were two ladies that approached Nikolai and said, "Hey, we don't want you hanging with the group. What are you doing? What's up? Why don't you just go on about your way so we can just not have confrontation?" And the one girl, Maddie, I believe her name is, she turned around to walk away. Nikolai didn't appreciate her, whatever she said to him. And so when she walked away, he grabbed her by her ponytail because her back is to him. He grabbed her by her ponytail and swung and hit her in the left side of her face with his left hand. Okay. So you don't punch girls in the face. You don't punch women in the face. And so that set a worse tone for the group, and not in a sense of, you know, they're going to defend her honor, which I think that's amazing because men nowadays don't protect women more. They spend a lot of energy hating women. Okay. So for a group to defend her honor, like, dude, what the hell is wrong with you? And so they physically smacked him around a few times and pushed him down in the water. And they had all been drinking. I don't know if Nikolai was drinking, but the youngsters, they were drinking. Some of them were drinking hard liquor. They admitted that they were doing that. They admitted that they were drinking alcohol, and they were also smoking marijuana. Okay. Well, that's not going to decrease, drama. It's going to potentially increase it. Okay. And then they started smacking him around, and he got really upset about that. And then I've actually watched the video. This isn't just, witness testimony. I actually watched the video where Nikolai pulls out a knife or a switchblade or some kind of weapon. Okay. And he starts slashing at people. He stabbed one guy. He started up high. He stabbed him and then brought the knife down. So he's got a scar on his abdomen that's probably about that big. Okay. And he had his intestines in his hands, trying to hold them in. And it didn't have to go that far. And then he slashed at another girl, Taylor, what's her name? Riley? He slashed at another girl, Riley, and stabbed her in her left abdomen, I believe. And she was getting weak and kept falling in the water. He got back up, kept falling in the water. No, that was the guy that got the big, huge gash. And then he stabbed another kid. He stabbed another kid in his chest and killed him. And that was the Asian guy that was a witness. That was his best friend. So we went from tubing to verbal. Nikolai started this crap, and then it just built from there. So, and then he assaulted the one young lady in the face, punched her in the face. Well, that's not going to decrease people's anger towards you. Duh. Right? You just hauled off and assaulted her. What's wrong with you? Let's give you a taste of your own medicine. Now, the thing is, let me see, hold on. The first 911 calls came in reporting a stabbing of the Apple River near the Sunrise Bridge in the town of Somerset. Later reports from 911 calls indicated that there were 4 victims with wounds to the mid-upper body. Deputies find 17-year-old Isaac Schuman without vital signs and performed life-saving measures. Schuman later died at Lakeview Hospital in Stillwater, Minnesota. Another victim, Riley Madison, told Fox that she was stabbed during an altercation with Mew. Witnesses report seeing Mew downriver at a park where tubers exit the river. Police converge on a park and detain Mew. He's interviewed that same night and tells police, "I was in self-defense mode after the tubers attacked him," which is not true. He started this. Okay? He started with them. Police obtain and review the 21-second video. Mew is charged with first-degree intentional homicide and 4 counts of attempted first-degree intentional homicide. Celebration of life held for Isaac Schuman in Stillwater. His obituary states, "Our hearts are forever broken for our sweet, amazing, talented, funny, and loving Isaac." April 1st, 2024, jury selection is scheduled to begin in the trial of Nikolai Mew. He faces up to life in prison. So he's trying to act like he was a victim. I was just sitting here minding my own business, and they came over and started messing with me. And then you got a bunch of dummies on YouTube in the commentary, and I've addressed a couple of them. "Oh, he, those kids, they're wild, they're out of control, they're, what did you expect?" And da-da-da. Excuse me, you don't know. If you don't know the whole story, mind your freaking business. Why don't you watch the trial and get all the evidence before you start jumping on the kids? I'm not defending the kids. What they did was wrong, but they were drinking alcohol, and they were defending the young lady's honor because she got hauled off and hit in her face, and that pissed them off. What did you expect them to do? Hit her again on the other side. They're going to defend her honor, which is more than what guys double their age would even bother to waste time doing. They wouldn't defend a woman's honor. Old school guys will. These modern women haters would not. So I have to give them props for that. Should it have escalated to the point that it did? No. How do we go from tubing to assault to another assault to multiple assaults to murder? That's a humongous jump. It never should have went that far. But unfortunately it did. But like I said, Nikolai started with them. Okay, that's not what the media is going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you because that's what actually happened, and the witnesses were telling what happened. And then you've got people in the commentary, people really make me sick. People in the commentary also saying things like, "Oh, the witnesses are all liars." Really? Really? They were there? One of them lost his best friend since 7th grade, and he's lying? Shut your damn mouth. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of mouth for somebody hiding behind a keyboard. Got a lot of goddamn mouth. No brains, but lots of mouth. So let's talk about, let's talk about teens and when their brain develops. We're going to use common sense today. And I know that's an old-fashioned ideology, but today we're going to freaking use it, okay? Teenagers, young people, their brains are not even developed yet, okay? Adolescence is an important time for brain development, right? Let me see if I can get this down a little more so I don't look like a floating head. Maybe that's better. Heck, I don't know. The brain finishes developing and maturing in the mid to late 20s. These youngsters were around that age or younger. Their brains aren't even developed yet, so don't expect them to make adult choices. Their brain is not even fully developed yet. The part of the brain behind the forehead called the prefrontal cortex is one of the last parts of the brain to mature. Okay? It's one of the last parts to mature. So people were making all kinds of comments about them that, like, again, they don't know what in the hell really transpired, but they got a lot to say. God dang it. They got a lot to say, and they don't know half of what they're talking about. They're just freaking idiots. God, YouTube doesn't have a limit of idiots. I mean, they're just everywhere. Anyway, Your brain isn't developed and you're expected by strangers on the internet to act like an adult when you're not an adult. Okay? That's asinine. That's like expecting a ballerina to be a professional wrestler in a day. Forget about your professional dance training. You're going to be today. You're going to be a professional. We're going to show you some moves, and you're going to be a professional wrestler from this day forward. How well do you think that's going to work? It's not, because it's unrealistic. Okay. Not only that, but you have adults. We're going to go there today. Okay, we're going to freaking go there. You got men in their 30s, 40s, and up that are way less mature than what these teens were. You got people at football games physically fighting. They've been drinking. These guys are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe more. Okay. They get to drinking alcohol. Tensions rise, especially if you talk about their team. Okay. Next thing you know, they're having fights in the stadium or they're fighting in the parking lot. Do not sit here and tell me that this doesn't happen, because it happens all the time. These are people with fully developed brains, and you expect someone who doesn't have that development to keep their cool and be a mature adult, even though your brain is not fully developed yet. A mature adult. Really? You got a lot of expectations and none of them are realistic. I'm not saying what they did was right, but I understand why they did it. Number one, their brain is not developed. Number two, you hauled off and knocked the crap out of one of the girls in the group, and they're not going to stand for that. They told you to go on somewhere way before that happened, and you just wouldn't stop. All right? So it escalated. Mew is a lot older than them, and he's making asinine choices. This is what I'm saying. This is exactly what I'm talking about. He's nowhere near their age, and he's acting worse than they are. Okay? So it's wrong all the way. Everything that went crazy, it was so preventable. I did watch a couple of the witnesses, and especially the victims of the stabbings, and my heart breaks for them. My heart breaks for them, because it never, ever, ever, ever in a million years should have gone that far. He's way older than them, and he made horrible choices. Horrible choices. He could have walked away. You don't go around hitting and stabbing people because life didn't go your way. He started with them when they were minding their own business. Like I said, people that don't know that have all kinds of commentary. They don't know jack of what they're talking about. They don't know jack. Okay? Some of the witnesses were crying on the stand because it never should have gone that far. Riley, the young lady Riley, she just broke down on the stand. Is this a picture of your wound? The attorney general, not the attorney general, excuse me, I'm sorry. The defense attorney was horrible, because I know you went through a traumatic thing, and I know you were a victim of a brutal attack. But I'm going to ask you the same questions over and over and over again. And I'm sitting here yelling at the screen. They've already answered that question. And he's still going. Finally, one guy, I can't think of his name, but he's the one that has the abdominal cut that's probably about that big. Okay? He was gutted like a fish. I had to give him props because he wasn't going to allow the defense attorney to chew him up and spit him out. He's like, I already answered that question. I'm like, yes! Again, I know my client's a horrible person, and I know he murdered somebody and he brutally attacked other people, but what about you? Weren't you intoxicated? How many drinks did you have? It's one of those deals where you're being brutalized for being brutalized. Okay? I know you feared for your life and you suffered some enormous pain. But let me chew you out and chew you up and spit you out about the choices that you made. I don't care what they were drinking. The bottom line is your client's a murderer. Okay? So I'm thinking to myself, well, God forbid something like that ever happened to me. I'm not going to court. It doesn't work that way. You're going to be chewed up and spit out by the defense in court as if you didn't go through enough. And they have it on video. So your client is hosed. You can go ahead and attack the victims if you want to, dumbass, but your client's going down, way down, just to let you know. All right? Because they have him on video. I want to say Jaquan is the guy who filmed it on his phone. I'm not sure if that's his name. But you can see the knife in his hand and you could see him attacking people. So it's all caught on video. So you can chew them up and spit them out if you want to, but your client's still going down. You're just, you're just avoiding the inevitable or wasting time or whatever. He was just brutal to them. Brutal. The same. And then finally, he met his match with, I don't want to say I think his name is Alex, but I'm not sure. He's the one with the huge incision. Had to have multiple surgeries. He was in the hospital for like 20 something days. Just absolutely horrific what he went through. And he was ready for defense. He said, I already answered that question. You're asking me the same thing over and over again. I already answered you that a few minutes ago when I explained to you, da 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 da. And I'm like, yes. Get his ass. And so finally, the judge finally intervened and said, oh, and then the prosecuting attorney finally said something and said, objection. Defense has already asked that same question several times. It's already answered several answers ago. And finally, and he kept doing it over and over. I'm going to ask you the same question over and over and over again. And finally, the judge jumped in his world, which he should have did before because he was doing that repeatedly. That's his whole strategy, to ask you the same question several times, just using different words. And it was pissing me off. And finally, the judge says, all right, that's enough. That was already answered. And he defense attorney tried to defend himself. And the judge said, please. That's enough of that or whatever. And he jumped his ass. And I'm thinking he should have jumped him a long time ago because he's done that with every single witness. You have to be brutalized for being brutalized. Freaking pisses me off. Now, what would have been ideal is somebody older who's going to supervise the group to make sure they don't do anything insane. If this guy is a physical threat to you, we will call the police. If they were within, I don't know anything about the Apple River in Wisconsin. I don't really know anything about Wisconsin, period. But I think somebody called the police when all this went down. So obviously somebody had a signal on their phone. But, I mean, regardless of how it should have went down, it didn't go down like that. And it went down in a horrific way. It was all preventable. And I was surprised that Mew had a wife. I'm like, if you brutalize strangers, what the hell do you do to your wife? So my heart goes out to the victims of the family. My heart goes out to Isaac Schuman's family. I am so sorry for your loss. It just defies logic and reason. It defies logic and reason. And somebody said this, because she was using her brain in the commentary. She said, who brings a knife and tucks it into their swim shorts? I'm like, exactly! Who brings a weapon to the river? A crazy person. And then he's going to start antagonizing people on purpose because he can't wait for drama to pop off. He's going to have second thoughts about that when he's locked up. Don't drop the soap. That's all I can tell you, Nikolai. Don't drop the goddamn soap. Because you know what? No matter how crazy you are, when you get to prison, you will find out that there's a lot more crazier people than you. Okay? How dare you? Anyway, for the victims, again, I'm really sorry that you guys were brutalized. I'm sorry that you were brutalized again in court, because that shouldn't even be permitted to happen. They've already, like I said, they've already answered that question 5 questions ago. What are you doing? Are you getting off on having them relive the nightmare? Is that you in the blue swimsuit with the injury, with the incision in your, basically a laceration? Is that you? And he kept putting the picture up and he kept playing the video, and I'm like, and had to show her a picture too, because all of that wasn't bad enough. That's why she started crying on the stand, and I wanted to hug her so bad because she was torn up. She was trying to be strong, but he keeps shoving it in her face. Is that what happened to you? Is that what happened? Is that you? Is that your injury? Dude, how many times do you have to verify that? Look. My hat goes off to them because, like I said, Alex was his, I think his name is Alex. The one that with the huge incision, the huge laceration on his abdomen. He was going tit for tat with the defense. Why you keep asking me the same question? Which, of course, you can't ask them questions. They have to ask you. But, I mean, he was... And then at one point, and I'm reading body language, right? I think his name's Alex. If it's not, I'm sorry. I don't always get names right. And at one point, he put his head down, and he's just kind of smoothing his hair, like... And I could tell he was getting irritated because nobody wants to be brutalized, and then nobody wants to be brutalized for being brutalized. Okay? Ask whatever questions you need to ask, and then move on to the next topic. And the judge finally told him, move on to the next topic. You've already covered this. You've already covered this. Enough. I'm like, yeah, that should have happened. That intervention should have happened a long time ago. Enough is enough. Don't be an ass. Do you enjoy hurting people? Is that why you became a defense attorney? Anyway. Again, my heart goes out for the victims. I'm so sorry. My heart goes out for Isaac's family. I'm so sorry for your loss. I hope you get a tremendous amount of support through all of this. And for the victims that did not lose their lives, it's still traumatic for them too. So I'm really sorry this all went down the way it did. It was so preventable. So anyway, you guys take care. Much love. And I will talk to you next time.